part of a baseline assessment for a racing driver, we'll always look at a postural and movement screen to assess their movement capacity, their joint range of motion, and also the controller joints. The information gathered from the screen feeds into the strength and conditioning program to look at injury prevention, as well as getting the driver stronger, fitter, faster, so that we can really keep them nice and robust and hopefully as injury-free as possible for their race season. Here with Jack, we're just going to cover just a few little basics, looking down the static postural screen, which is where we would start. Typically this would be done with the top off, but just to give you a very quick explanation, we're looking from the head down, so we're looking at the level of the ears. We'll then be looking at the level of the shoulders at different points. We'll then be checking that the spine is straight. We'll also be looking at the level of the pelvis and seeing if there's any anterior tilt, which is quite common within motorsport, or it could be posteriorly tilted. We're also just checking that the pelvis is level, so one can be higher than the other. Also that it can be rotated, so one can be rotated forwards and one can be rotated backwards. From there, we're just coming on down, checking the knees, the ankles, and the feet as well, where there could be potentially some overpronation. We're looking at all sides of the body, so we're checking from the back. We're also coming round and looking from the side. It's quite common that a racing driver can be what we call upper cross, so quite rounded in their shoulders and their mid-spine, and also what we call lower cross, where they have excessive curvature in the lower back because they're very tight through all the hip flexors from being in a seated position for many hours from a very young age during motorsport. And then finally, we're just checking from the front as well. So we've really gone through all angles and we're picking up any aspects of the posture that we might want to improve and develop as part of the strength and conditioning program. As well as assessing static posture, we also look to assess whole body movement within a movement screen. So here is an example of doing an anterior Y balance, so a single leg squat. So here we're going to be stood on one leg, just pushing the board out in front with the hands as a counterbalance, sinking the weight into the heels and doing the movement under control, really trying to keep the hip, knee and foot aligned throughout the movement. And then we're assessing the whole movement pattern and picking up any faults that will potentially need work on in the future. As well as the static postural screen and assessing whole body movement, we also look at joint range of motion in joints from the neck to the shoulders, to the spine, to the hips, to the ankles. Here is an example of the weight bearing lunge test where we're looking at ankle range of motion. So we're in a split stance with ball of the foot on the back leg, taking the knee in line with the second toe so that it touches the wall. If we can achieve knee to wall with the heel on the floor, then we'll move the foot backwards 1 centimetre until we can't complete the range of motion. And in this test, we're essentially looking for total range of motion, but also difference between sides. Ideally, we want between 1.5 centimetres between left and right limbs. Assessing posture is a key element for motorsport racing drivers because often it's an area that they really need to focus on within their strength and conditioning programs. So we really focus heavily on training the deeper stabilizing muscles around joints as well as the bigger global muscles that produce whole body movement. Thank you for tuning in and watching the content from today on motorsport related fitness. Do make sure you look on motorsportuk.tv to see more information about how you can make yourself stronger, fitter, faster for the future.